I just rented a Tesla for this trip. And I would have to say, I got to see the R2 for the first time. And I'm driving a Tesla Model Y. It's over with. Good morning, everyone. So I am out here in Palo Alto, California, and luckily I'm here for the Rivian Autonomy Day. So I'm really excited about this to see what exciting news they have to offer as far as the future, as far as autonomy. And also I'm really interested in the part about the AI integration and autonomous driving. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your thoughts on what you think they're going to talk about. I'm kind of excited. And I'm only about 2 miles away. I'm in the hotel here. I got in yesterday. And also I rented a Tesla, and this is my first time driving a Tesla. I rented a Tesla Model Y, and I'm going to give my thoughts on that in another video. Quite surprising, actually. So I'm about ready to head over there, and I hope to see you all a little later. All right, I'm back, and I am in the Tesla Model Y, and I'm headed to the Rivian Autonomy Day. So it's a bit odd pulling up to Rivian Autonomy Day in a Tesla, but I can tell that they borrowed a lot of the same tech from Tesla, which is good. And I'll give my opinions on what I see here, and I do really like this. I do like the ding when a light turn green. That's pretty awesome. I know Rivian just added it to where if the car in front of you pulls away, then it dings. But this is much better as far as dinging when the light turn green. It's pretty quick. Actually, it's like as soon as the light turn green, it dings. And yeah, because I wasn't paying attention. Hoping I get to see the R2 and some other new vehicles. They are going to give us a tour as far as just through some of the labs and things like that. We can talk to some of the subject matter experts as far as I guess some of the technology they have. I just noticed here in California it's a lot different from the Midwest. There's so many electric vehicles out here. It's just a totally different world as far as EVs and extremely high gas prices. And I just did a video comparison of what it would cost to operate an electric vehicle in my area based on my electricity rates, which is around 16.1 cents per kilowatt hour on the average throughout the year, versus, man, this is $4 and almost $5 a gallon really for premium gas. And if I was comparing my R1S to a comparable SUV like the BMW XM5 competition, yeah, we're spending more than $5 a gallon for gas. But also electricity rates are a lot higher. But again, you can get those costs down with solar. And I am just driving next to the facility right now. You know, I'm making my turn to see where I need to park. I see a lot of Rivians in the parking lot. I wish I was able to rent a Rivian. Hopefully in the future, they'll have R2s that you can rent from Hertz or Budget or whomever, one of these rental car companies. Okay, and I am rolling up, and here we are right here. And let me get my phone out. I have a and they have parking attendants here.
Are you for the event?
Yes.
Oh, you can take any spot in the garage and then you want to check in over there in a minute.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. I guess I'll take a parking spot right here. And they sent us a QR code for the event. And so I'm ready to walk over here and register, and I'll see you all back a little later. And here we go. Is this a limestone quad? Oh my goodness. I wanted them. Is this limestone? I wanted a limestone quad. And up there's the R2 with the camo on it. Oh man, that is a beautiful vehicle. Oh, that's going to be a big seller. That is the proportions are just excellent on that vehicle. Oh yeah, that's going to be a big hit. And here's the new Rivian with the purple. And it has the burnished bronze rim, just like on my, oh, this is a tri-motor though. Interesting, with the burnished bronze. And this purple, or Borealis, whatever it's called. It's a beautiful color, it looks nice. I think it would look even better with the blue brake calipers.
We're in the midst of a technology inflection point. The way that we approach AI in the physical world has shifted dramatically. And the idea of not having fully capable artificial intelligence across every domain of our lives will be almost impossible to even imagine. And I think artificial intelligence will become as accessible as running water or electricity. For us, thinking about this through the lens of a vehicle and the transportation experience, making autonomy incredibly accessible and something that you own. It's a really transformative thought. It changes how you think about vehicles, the role they play in your life, how you interact with them, the things you care about, and the car start to shift as well.
There's hardly any technology platform out there that's more diverse and more complex. It's got every type of computing, every type of sensing, all in it.
Please welcome RJ Scaringe, founder and chief executive officer of Lidar.
We are incredibly excited to host everybody here today. We're in Palo Alto, which is the hub for our autonomy and our technology development teams. AI is enabling us to create technology and customer experiences at a rate that is completely different from what we've seen in the past. If we look forward 3 or 4 years into the future, the rate of change is an order of magnitude greater than what we've experienced in the last 3 or 4 years. Directly controlling our network architecture and our software platforms in our vehicles has of course created an opportunity for us to deliver amazingly rich software, but perhaps even more importantly, this is the foundation of enabling AI across our vehicles and our business. I'd like to talk about autonomy first. The field of autonomy really started about 20 years ago. And about, let's say up until the early 2020s, the approach was centered on a rules-based environment where a set of perception sensors would identify and classify objects and hand those classified and vector-associated objects to a planner that was built around a human-defined, rules-based framework. A few years ago, it became clear the approach to autonomy needed to shift. With innovations around transformer-based encoding and the design of large parameter models, the approach has moved to building a neural net-like understanding of how to drive, instead of following a classical rules-based approach. Recognizing this massive shift in how we approach autonomy, in early 2022, we began the process of a clean sheet design to our platform. This first embodiment of this work was in our Gen 2 R1 vehicles, which we launched in mid-2024. With this updated platform, our Gen 2 vehicles now have 55 megapixels of cameras, 5 radars, and run on an inference platform that was a 10x improvement over our Gen 1 vehicles. This platform was designed around an AI-centric approach. And with the deployment of our Gen 2 R1s, we began the process of building our data flywheel to grow and build our large driving model. Now, because this AI-centric approach represents a model trained end-to-end through the millions and millions of miles driven on our vehicles, enhancing the perception platform or improving the compute is accretive to the capabilities of the model, meaning the model only continues to get better as the perception and as the compute platform improves. So you can sort of think of it like this. If you learned to drive and you had bad vision, and suddenly you're able to put on glasses and see much better, and then go even further and supplement that with new perception modalities of radar and Lidar, and then your compute, here metaphorically your brain, was expanding in capability by an order of magnitude, you wouldn't forget the things you'd learned, the rules of the road, how to operate a vehicle, but your ability to understand nuance, to respond to complex situations, and perceive the world in environments with poor or limited visibility would improve dramatically. Our approach to building self-driving is really designed around this data flywheel. Our deployed fleet has a carefully designed data policy that allows us to identify important and interesting events that we can use to train our large model offline before distilling the model back down into the vehicle. Now, while our R1 Gen 2 vehicles and the demos some of you are going to be trying today are using our Gen 2 sensor set and of course the associated compute platform, over the last few years we've also been developing our Gen 3 substantially enhanced platform. And this will underpin a massive leap forward with R2. Starting in late 2026, Our Gen 3 autonomy platform will include 65 megapixels of cameras, a robust radar array, and a front-facing long-range Lidar. And at the core of this platform, our first in-house Rivian Autonomy Processor. The first iteration of our in-house inference platform includes a neural engine with 800 TOPS. It's optimized to support camera-centric AI in the physical world and enables a dramatic expansion of Rivian's autonomy capabilities. When integrated into what we call our Gen 3 autonomy compute platform, which video will go through later in detail, it will deliver 1,600 TOPS. The effectiveness and efficiency of our in-house processor has been a core focus in its development. Our Gen 3 computer is capable of processing 5 billion pixels per second. Now, you've heard me say this a couple of times. We've designed this entire architecture around an AI-centric approach where the data flywheel of our deployed fleet helps the model get better and better through reinforcement learning. Not only does this sensor set enable a much higher ceiling than what we have in our vehicles today, it also makes the platform much better to serve in building our model. We're going to continue to see improvements on our platform. Later this month, we'll be issuing an over-the-air update to our R1 Gen 2 customers, and that will dramatically expand the existing hands-free capability, going from less than 150,000 miles of roads to more than 3.5 million miles of roads in North America. And again, this is just a step in a series of steps. Starting in 2026, we'll begin rolling out point-to-point capabilities in which the vehicle can drive address to address. So what that means is you can get into the vehicle at your house, plug in the address to where you're going, and the vehicle will completely drive you there. Now, some of you are going to experience this today in our R1 vehicles, and of course, this will be better than R2. Now, as I described, the Gen 3 hardware architecture launching in 2026 expands the ceiling of what we can achieve. The next major step beyond point-to-point will be eyes off, meaning you can navigate point-to-point with your hands off the wheel, but importantly, your eyes off the road. And this gives you your time back. You can be on your phone or reading a book, no longer needing to be actively involved in the operation of the vehicle. And following eyes off, the next major step will be personal level 4. And with this, the vehicle will operate entirely on its own. This means it can drop the kids off at school, it can pick you up from the airport. It allows it to really be integrated into your life in ways that we can't even imagine and haven't seen yet today. Now, while our initial focus will be on personally owned vehicles, which today represent a vast majority of the miles driven in the United States, this also enables us to pursue opportunities in the rideshare space. Now, beyond self-driving, we've also created what we call the Rivian Unified Intelligence. This AI backbone exists across our vehicle and across our entire business. And we've talked for a long time about software-defined vehicles, which are really a foundational building block for an AI-defined vehicle, where every part of the vehicle, the experience, and everything that's happening across the vehicle is designed around AI. From our Rivian Assistant to enabling our direct-to-consumer sales and service model, as well as our future manufacturing infrastructure. Now, as I said at the start, we could not be more excited about what we're building, and we have a lot of details to show you here today. And with that, I'm excited to introduce Vidya to talk about our hardware platform.
My name is Vidya Rajagopalan, and I lead the electrical hardware team here at Rivian. My team is responsible for electrical content in the vehicle, ranging from our in-house 5nm silicon that you just heard about, that operates at voltages below a volt, to the power electronics for electric motors that operate at 400 volts, and lots of things in between. We have a multimodal sensor strategy that provides a rich and diverse set of data for our AI models to operate on. On the screen behind me, you can see the feed from all our sensors on an R2 vehicle. On an R2 platform, much like the R1 before, we have 11 cameras providing a total of 65 megapixels of data. That is 10 megapixels over and above what we had in R1. The cameras provide an extremely rich set of two-dimensional data and help us see the world around us. But cameras alone have some shortcomings. They do not perform well under non-ideal lighting conditions. This could be low light, excessive light, and fog. And so, much like the R1 platform again, we still carry 5 radars. 1 front-facing imaging radar and 4 corner radars. By using radio frequencies, radars are able to see in total darkness while also providing the depth and velocity of objects in their path. Our corner radars on R2 are further improved. They support a dual mode of operation, short range and long range. In short range mode, they have very high spatial resolution, which helps us delete the ultrasonic sensors in R2. That's right, we add sensors, but we also delete them when it makes sense. And now, for the first time on R2, we're adding a third sensor, the Lidar. The Lidar is an optical sensor, but its strength comes from the fact that unlike the camera, the Lidar has an active light source, enabling it to see it much better in the dark. Another advantage of the Lidar is that it can provide a 3-dimensional view of the world, unlike cameras, which we know provide a 2-dimensional view, requiring the AI models to infer the depth, which they do, but with a lot less accuracy. So in summary, camera is the main workhorse of our sensor suite, generating the bulk of the data fed to the models, but the radar and Lidar are critical to addressing the edge cases, which would otherwise create the long tail of problem cases. So why do we choose to introduce Lidar now? It turns out that there are 3 main factors that make this the right moment to incorporate Lidar. They are cost, resolution, and size. About 10 years ago, Lidars used to cost in the tens of thousands of dollars. Today, you can get a very good Lidar for several hundreds of dollars. The resolution of Lidars has similarly improved tremendously. The picture on the left here is a data product of a Lidar from 2016, whereas the picture on the right, it shows the data actually from our R2 Lidar, the one we use on our vehicle. As you can see, the R2 Lidar data is much, much richer. Today's automotive Lidars have point cloud densities of the order of 5 million points per second, which is about 25 times better than what we could get 10 years ago. Finally, today's Lidars are no longer the large mechanical spinning beasts of the past. The Lidar of today is more compact and more easily integrated into a vehicle. So let us take a look at the Lidar integration in an R2. This is one of our prototype R2 vehicles. From afar, it looks the same as the R2 many of you have seen and come to love. But if you zoom in closer and look up front, you can see the Lidar. What you see is a seamless integration and no signs of the unsightly taxi cab style bump or the tiara structure that is more commonly associated with Lidar integrations. Our studio and design teams work very closely with the supplier to shape the face of the Lidar in such a way so that it blends in beautifully with the R2. And now, if you zoom out and look at the vehicle from the side, voila, you'd not even know it had a Lidar. And by the way, this Lidar integration is camera safe. It will not burn your front cameras, so don't worry about it.
So I'm back in my hotel room, and the Rivian Autonomy Day is concluded. And I have to say, there are a lot of exciting things that they announced. It was a lot more than what I was expecting. Quite a lot more. And I would have to say Rivian is very good at keeping secrets and not letting a lot of information out. So, yeah, very exciting. And I had a few people ask me what I like the most. And man, it's kind of hard to choose because there are some things that I think will be good for the immediate future. And that will be the Rivian Assistant and how that can be really integrated as far as using text messaging and just to make your life a little easier, so you have a little more flexibility as far as planning trips, planning meetings, just overall management of your schedule and how that's integrated into the vehicle and how that can help assist you. And that's why it's called Rivian Assistant. So really, really good idea. I really did like that. And I say as far as overall wide appeal, where that's a use case that I'd say the majority of the population can use that. Probably well over 90% can take advantage of that. So from a user perspective and a media perspective, yes, I would say the Rivian Assistant, especially with those capabilities, is probably the best thing that they showed. However, I'm more of a future oriented person. So I'm thinking, okay, what are the possibilities? So for long term, I really, really like that they added Lidar to their system and the integration of artificial intelligence to really help speed up that learning. And so it can do it in real time. So Tesla was able to capture this data by using their cameras and sensors on the vehicle to capture the real-time data, and then they'll use that to train their models as far as their full self-driving. However, Rivian has a different approach, and this is the approach of the future, at least for now, unless some new technology comes into play. Of course, when Tesla started their full self-driving program, you just didn't have the compute power where you can have these powerful chips. And also, you didn't have the artificial intelligence that we have available today that's improving every day to really help improve and speed up the learning so it can make real-time decisions and actually retain that information based on your driving habits and a lot of other variables, and also including other sensors, especially LiDAR. And also, LiDAR may not be the most attractive thing to place on a vehicle, so I understand it also, but as far as a redundancy perspective and also from a safety perspective, and also from a regulatory perspective, this may all probably end up being a requirement. And so it's better safe to be sorry. I know if I want to put my child in a full self-driving vehicle going from point to point, I want as many redundancies as possible. What LiDAR is, if you don't know, it stands for light detecting and ranging. And so basically how it works is shoots off these lasers at the speed of light. The laser light bounces off the object and returns back to the LiDAR system. And it does it so rapidly and fast, it can build a 3D model of whatever it's in front of you. And one of the benefits of that is that will reduce phantom braking. When it shoots those lasers out, it's hitting the actual object. So it can tell the difference between an actual object or a phantom object like fog or something like that. So that's the benefit. Just having those extra redundancies along with cameras and radar, that's an awesome suite right there. That would make me feel a lot safer. So it's the option was for cameras only, a camera only system versus a system with cameras, radar, and LiDAR. I'm going with the other system. And I'm sure probably Tesla would have gone with LiDAR originally. I know there was a debate early on during Tesla development of full self-driving, but back then LiDAR was very expensive. You're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars for a LiDAR system. And now they're in the hundreds. You can get LiDAR for pretty cheap now. The prices have dropped significantly. So now it probably makes less sense not to have it than it does to have it, because the cost benefit analysis, I mean, you can't beat it. To add the extra level of redundancy and the perception of safety, and actually probably real safety, because it can detect those 3D objects. And so you have those multiple sensors, a radar, LiDAR, and the cameras working together. And so where a camera may not detect the object, the LiDAR may be able to pick it up, and vice versa, or the radar may be able to pick it up. I just like that sensor suite myself. I think it's awesome. And so that is what I'm really excited about, if you can't tell. Now, with the implementation of artificial intelligence, it's really going to help them leapfrog. Unfortunately, I was not able to take a test drive in a Rivian that has a point-to-point navigation, but I did talk to people who did, and they said it was not far off from where Tesla was about 3 years ago. That is a gigantic leap, because when I got my first Rivian in February 2023, basically it was the driver assistance was distance keeping, lane centering, and was there anything else? That was it for the most part. And it didn't do that well. And plus, you had to keep your hands on the steering wheel. It was very limited. It didn't work most of the time. It was so useless. I barely used it. That was one of my biggest critiques about the vehicle, is that useless the driving system. And then came Generation 2. On my Gen 2 quad, I have what's called Enhanced Driver Assistance. It has come a long way from my Gen 1 Rivian. It's a huge jump. And you don't have to you can keep your hands off the steering wheel. And they just had a recent update to increase the amount of roads that it's going to go down that you can use it on. But big difference. So you can drive hands off. Say one were barely functioning to hands off in a very short order. Now they just demonstrated point-to-point navigation hands off, eyes off. So imagine the technological leap that's going to happen over the next year or so. It's going to be, these leaps are going to be gigantic. And unless Tesla reacts, they're going to get leapfrogged, definitely by Rivian. Rivian is not playing games. They're going to leapfrog them, and it's going to happen quick. And I just rented a Tesla for this trip. And I got to see the R2 for the first time. Unless there's a change, a quick change, there's no competition between Rivian and Tesla. I don't see it. I have one. I'm test driving one right now. I'm renting one, and I don't see the comparison. I just don't see it. Not I have to ride in the R2, but looking at the aesthetics of the R2, as far as the interior and the exterior, it looks like an SUV. And I'm sure you're going to have good visibility. Where the Tesla Model Y, the visibility out the rear is horrible. I was like, anyway, I was shocked by that. The horrible visibility out the back. So if the Rivian R2 shares the same driving dynamics as a Rivian R1, it's game over. I'm telling you right now, it is game over. It's like, it's not a choice. Not unless you just like the brand Tesla, or any other brand for that matter. I just don't see it. If a person who's never driven a Tesla or a Rivian, and you presented both of those vehicles side by side, and they didn't know what brand it was, they're going to pick the R2 every day, all day, especially if it's at a similar price point, even more for that matter. I can guarantee that. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I find it quite interesting. It's very exciting. It's a lot I want to talk about. Really concentrate on, but I just want to hone in on those two things that I thought were awesome. And I want to know your thoughts. If you watched the presentation, or just your thoughts on Lidar and adding all these additional sensors and how that can really help get rid of phantom braking and things like that, and adding another level of redundancy for safety purposes, because that's very important. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. But that's all I have for today. I'd like to thank you for joining me once again. And I can't wait to see you on the next video.